Good morning. How are we doing today? Good? Excellent. My name is Ron Reed with South by Southwest EDU, and I've been really excited and looking forward to this session for many reasons. Our next speaker's work is spectacular and inspiring to me on a number of levels, but there's a little bit of some context or a brief story anyway to that. I spent a lot of time thinking about conversations in innovation and in learning, and I've been intrigued and infatuated with the increasingly international nature of those conversations. I think in many ways the challenges many of us face are shared more broadly than we might appreciate, and I think it's empowering for us to recognize that. I also, here at South by Southwest EDU, think a lot about the evolution of an event to hopefully what we aspire to be an experience for attendees that is rich and engaging. And I think about the continued evolution of that to really how a movement is born and supported. And to that end, I think our next speaker's work is notable. I am pleased to share with you that I attended a conference in the Middle East a couple of years ago called WISE, the World Innovation Summit in Education. Spectacular event, and in the course of their event, I think they have helped achieve this level of really contributing to more than an event, an experience, but really driving a cultural conversation about teaching and learning all over the world. And so to help me introduce our next speaker, I'd like to first welcome one of the organizers of the WISE event who could share a little more, but I have to share with you, should you find yourself in Doha, Qatar in November, you should look forward to meeting this gentleman and hearing other inspiring speakers as well. So please, if you would, to introduce our speaker, help me welcome Sebastian Turpo, please, to the stage.
Thank you, Ron. Hello, good morning. First of all, yes, thank you, Ron, for these kind words. Thank you for having us here. We've been meeting great people, great projects, great ideas, and we'll make sure to share these ideas and projects with our global audience. Because indeed, as Ron was saying, I work for WISE, the World Innovation Summit for Education. It's an initiative of Qatar Foundation. Our mission is to identify, support, promote innovation the world over, and trying to bring agenda to the top of try to bring education to the top of the global agenda. To do so, we host a number of activities and programs. We have our big annual summit, as Ron was saying. We have an accelerator, we have a young leaders program. But back in 2011, we realized that there was maybe one thing that the education sector was missing. And this would be, I guess, the equivalent of a Nobel Prize for education, which doesn't exist. A prize that would identify and recognize true lifelong change makers in education. And hence, we started the WISE Prize for Education. We've had 5 amazing laureates from the UK, from Colombia, from India, from Bangladesh. And it's my pleasure today to introduce our current 2015 laureate, Dr. Sakena Yacoobi. Sakena has dedicated her life to education in Afghanistan. You know, she ran clandestine schools during the Taliban. She focuses a lot today on teacher training. She also wants to start the first female university in Afghanistan. Prior to working to WISE, I actually spent several years in Afghanistan myself, and so I must say I'm a first-hand witness of the impact and the scale that Sakena is having on the ground. So without further ado, please welcome Dr. Sakena Yacoobi.
A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Dear ladies, gentlemen, dear brother and sister, the host of this organization, Ron, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It is wonderful to be here. I am so honored to be in this event. This is the place that my heart is, and education is the core of my life. And I think that every one of you who are here, you know what is education is all about. I don't have to come across the world, across the ocean, and tell you what is education is all about. I don't want to talk about it specifically as such, but we will get to there. First of all, I want to tell you that today's world is a very horrible world, and all of you know that. And I think that the vehicle reaching out in this world and bringing peace is education. And that is, we are going to talk about it. I want to talk to you a little bit about my life. I born in Herat, Afghanistan. It was a place that it was beautiful. My country was beautiful, very, very beautiful. We had flower, we had running water, we had garden, we had children running around, playing. We had peace and security. Of course, we were poor, but we were self-sufficient. We were able to provide for ourselves. We were not getting anything from anywhere. We didn't have beggar on the street. So our life was, yes, we were poor, but we were comfortable. I came from a family that my mother and father were not educated. But at the time that I was in Afghanistan, education was all around. Every child could go to school, every girl could go to school, every boy could go to school, and everybody will go to school and learn and enjoy their life. But my family were not educated. But I had a father who loved education. He was 5 years old as an orphanage, but very successful businessman. He decided at that time, no matter what in his family, if it's a boy or a girl, we are going to get education. So of course, I was the firstborn, and I was a girl. And he sent me to school, and I went to school. I was the first one in my class, but what kind of methodology I learned? How did I learn? Rote memorization, stick, discipline. But I was a good student. I loved learning, so I was the first one in my class. So I really wanted to go to university. And at the time, in my city, there wasn't a university. I have to travel, go to our capital city, and to go to university. So because of that, I was waiting to get into that. I got accepted in medical school and engineering school. But then also I applied to the United States, so I got accepted there. So I went to the United States, and I studied there. While I was in the United States, you know what happened. Russian invaded Afghanistan. I became a refugee in Afghanistan, in the United States, and my family became a refugee in Iran. We lost everything we had. But at the same time, for 2 years, I did not know what's happening to my family, where are they, what's going on in their life. But I continuously study. I work very, very hard to really accomplish what I was after there to accomplish. My main goal was to go back to Afghanistan and help my people. So after a few years, I completed my education. I became a professor at Detroit University. I was a good professor. I really enjoy my teachers, my students. My students enjoy me, and so I had a good life. But what was in here wasn't there. I wanted to go back home. But at the same time, I knew that my family has to do something else. So I brought my family to the United States. I worked very hard. I brought them there. In a few years, my family learned how to be self-sufficient. They learned English. They got jobs. So then I went to my father. I told my father I want to go back to Pakistan and to help my people, because at that time, Russia invaded Afghanistan. Many, many people were out from Afghanistan. 7 million people were refugees in Pakistan. And my father looked at me and said, "You really want to go?" I said, "Yes." My mother wasn't there. She cried. She said, "No, you shouldn't go." But my father said, "It's her dream. Let her go." And so here I was ready to go to Pakistan in the refugee camp and try to see what's going on. But let me tell you, when I went to Pakistan, the people that was proud in Afghanistan that I was grown up, they were not there. The people were devastated. They were sick. They were uneducated. They lost everything they had. They were desperate in the refugee camp. 7 million of them. The majority of them women, sitting doing nothing. I look and look. What could I do? I really didn't know. How could I help? But I knew one thing that changed my life. Brought me proudness back. Bring me resilience. Bring me my ethics back. And that was education. And so I decided that's what I'm going to do. That is the area that I'm going to really work on. But working in education at the time, having a country that has been devastated for years and years, have been through war. People have been traumatized. Security is not there in the refugee camp. Material supplies is not there in the refugee camp. And above all those things, the teacher, most of them left from the country. They are not even in the refugee camp. The ones who are there, they are the people who are communist. And these people, if I want to bring the educational system, how I am going to do this? How I am going to introduce education through this communist teacher to these people? It wouldn't work. It would be controversial. People will not accept that. So there was a way to really do it. First of all, I have to gain the respect of the people. I have to gain the trust of the people. And how I'm going to gain the trust of the people? By looking to the community day to day and sitting around and drinking tea with these people in the camp and seeing who is the most trustworthy individual amongst this camp. And you know, I found one. Yes, in your language or in your knowledge, maybe this person wasn't really highly educated. This person didn't know methodology. But you know, we could train that person. And that's what I find. I find a mullah. He was an old man, but he knew how to read Quran, but he didn't know anything else. And I decided I'm going to train him. And I did train him. And one other thing that I really felt it that what we need to do in this community to really build our community, because our community was completely destroyed. Nobody was trusting anyone. Nobody even talked to anyone. Everybody was suspicious of everybody. How we are going to do it? The first, we trust the community, and the community trusts us. The second thing, if we are going to build a program, we must involve the community. We must bring the community to they say what they want. And that was the second thing. And third thing, we will provide whatever material, whatever things they needed, in which area they needed, that they tell us, not we go and say, we want to do this. And that was the third thing. And the fourth thing that we wanted to do, it was that they feel this program belonged to them. They feel the ownership of the program. And when they feel the ownership of the program, they work harder and they really apply themselves because it's for their benefit. And that's what we did. And also, we felt out that whatever community we are working, we are emphasizing infrastructure, building the community, because the community was completely demolished. There wasn't a young, everybody was just trying to survive. It was individual. It wasn't the community or group work or teamwork. So we needed to bring a teamwork. Doing this kind of thing, really we felt that that is the way we go about education. And that's the way we can bring peace in our country. And you know, if you don't have peace, you will not be able to have development at all. And you are not able to do infrastructure at all. So through that, it was 1992 when I started the first school in a tent. It was 30 students first. Believe me, in 1 year, from 15,000 students to 27 schools, all in the refugee camp, all in the refugee camp. That's not an easy task. It wasn't just me. It was the whole community involved. The word of mouth spread. Everybody wants education. Everybody wants their children to go to school. Everybody wants to do something. They give a place, they give material, they give protection. In the refugee camp, we were working there. You might say, well, this is all realistic. Oh, well, is this possible? Yes, it's possible. It's a long process. It's a slow process. But we did it. We did it, and today we see that our community are being built. Our community after community. At the meantime that we were doing this in the refugee camp, the people inside Afghanistan were invaded by Taliban. Taliban took over Afghanistan. And I don't have to tell you what Taliban are all about or what they did. You all know that. But people come and they wanted me to have a program inside Afghanistan. How we are going to do it? Again, through these processes, we ask the community to give the teacher for us, because the people in that community will trust the teacher. And also we ask the community to protect us. And also we ask the community to really give us some kind of community participation, whatever they could. Maintaining the building, giving the building, those things. So it did work. We built a school and a school. We built 80 schools inside Afghanistan during the Taliban. It wasn't easy. You know what would be the outcome of it. I don't want to stand up there and tell you what was going on, but you all know about it. You are all educated. You read on the newspaper. But we did it, and the way we did it through multi-grade system, very innovative way. We designed curriculum that the students who were 12 years old, who were 10 years old, who were 18 years old, could sit in the classroom and learn side by side with the 6 or 7 years old students. We designed that kind of curriculum. Through innovation, we were able to have 3,000 students going underground in a school. And you know, today those are the students who are really building Afghanistan. Today, they are the students who are doctors, who are engineers, who are administrators, who are leaders. They are really trying to build community after community. And I am so proud of them, that they have been there and they took the risk and they went underground school. But in the meantime, again, American bombed Afghanistan during the Taliban. So again, we have the flood of refugees coming into Pakistan. And people really wanted to do something. They asked if they have a place, the women, if they can sit around and talk. And you know, that was the first women learning center. We opened a women learning center that they come and sit and pour their heart and talk their problem. We give a human rights workshop, leadership workshop, and health education workshop. Through this workshop, also, we integrate the human rights of Islam. And when these women learned, and they were sitting there, they went back home, and they said they want a center to study. They want to come and learn. And then that was it. From then on, we start building Women Learning Center, WLC. 340 WLC. Every one of them, from 600 to 2,000 people in it. And we start giving training. And we give literacy program. And we give income generation program. And we keep building and building. And clinics, and mobile clinics. Also, side-by-side health education. I tell you a story. One day, one teacher came and says that, today I went to a home, and I was with my child, and my child said to me that, I'm not going to eat this apple because you washed it in the dirty water. And that was shocking for us. From the camp, somebody said like that, it was very unheard of it. And you know why? Because that child in school learned through hygiene classes that there is a bag on that apple and that water. He's not going to eat it if his mother doesn't wash it in a clean water. And that's the way that health education can carry education from inside the school to the street to the home. That's the way we were trying to educate people, that really we were not by ourselves. Children also were helping us to carry this message. Today in Afghanistan is a different story. Yes, right now that I'm talking to you here, you might hear the news. There is a suicidal bomb. There is a threat. There is a lot of kidnapping. There is acid to the children's face. We have to have guard in school. But you know what? Our community are really working very, very hard to bring peace. I really believe that the days are coming that we will have a peaceful Afghanistan. I really believe that we are going to have prosperous Afghanistan. Why? Because by thousands, our young men and young women come in our facility and they are asking for training. They are asking for discussion. They are asking for debating. They are asking for good governance. They are asking for good citizenship. These are building a community. These are the things that building an infrastructure of Afghanistan. Yes, it is slow. Yes, it will take time. Yes, the country is very, very poor. Right now, as I am talking to you here, our young students who are graduate, they don't have a job. Because a lot of traders, they are afraid to come to Afghanistan. They do not do business in Afghanistan. We don't have a good economy. But you know, our young generation, they are our investment. They are really working from the heart. They believe in education. They know that they are going to really rise up. And that's we are working. And why I am saying this to you? We are talking about education, development, and peace. In today's world, the whole world is falling apart. War is everywhere. It's affecting you, it's affecting me. It's affecting your hometown, it's affecting my country. Those are people who are barbaric people over there. Those are people who are ignorance. They are people who are having no education. Those are people who are really believing in very restricted, fanatic way of religion. There is not one single religion in the world to say the things that they are doing to do. But today they are doing it. And how we are going to get rid of those people, and how we are going to get rid of their mind, by really having a program that's sensitive to the culture, respectful of culture, really teaching their value and their core value, teaching them humanity, teaching them that they had a rich culture behind. What happened all of a sudden that they become like this? These are the issues that through education we can teach and we can build community after community. I really, today, one other issue I want to talk to you. My life has been very dangerous, in danger. We work very, very hard. Any day we could be killed. But you know what? When you see the face of those beautiful 400 orphan children sitting in the classroom and coming from the background that they were grabbing, stealing things, and today they are sitting in the chair and table like you and me. They behave very good. They have good morale. And that is really makes the difference. And that is today also in every society is lacking. Why? Because people forgot to share and people forgot love and forgiveness. How we do that? We provide conferences. We bring conferences internationally. In that conference, hundreds of people come. They read poetry, they have a discussion, they sort of analyze the poetry and go to the meaning of the poetry. How wonderful it is to really share with each other, to share knowledge. When you have knowledge, it's better to share, not to keep it in here. And that is we are all about. And through that, we have been able to really build Afghanistan. We have a long way to go, but I assure you, Afghanistan will be on rise up. Thank you very, very much. I want you to ask me questions. I can stand up here and talk and talk and talk, but I do not want to do that. And I really appreciate if you ask me questions, and I will do my best to answer all your questions. Thank you very, very much for your time. Yes. Thank you.
Are you okay? Thank you for this very, very inspiring talk, Sakena. Do you have questions? I saw on Slido that there weren't any questions coming. I'm guessing you were concentrated on Sakena, so that's good. I don't know, is there mics in? No? Well, I guess we can hear you. Please, do you have questions for Sakena? Back over there.
I'm very impressed that you went to, where you've been. I'm curious on being such a poor country and a poor area, how did you find the funding to be able to do it?
Well, this is a wonderful question. My philosophy is that first, you have to get the people involved. If you have the power of people, and if you provide quality program, you will be able to do it. I start with $20,000 of my own. And today, my project is, annual budget is $3.5 million. And I am the only one who do the fundraising. And I don't do party, and I don't do fundraising event. One thing that I invite everybody to come and see in Afghanistan by themselves our project. See how we are doing and what we are doing, and that has been working. And so as a result, yes, there is many, many things that we want to do, but still we have time, and it's a long, slow process, but we are getting there. Thank you. Yeah.
Any other question? Yes, please. Over here. There's a microphone over there if you want.
Is this? Oh, it's on. Great. Hi, I'm a huge fan. I'm an educator, and honestly, whenever my students are kind of getting on my nerves, I watch your TED Talk, and it sort of reminds me why I'm doing what I'm doing. But there's been a lot of talk here in America and internationally about the role of education in preventing extremism, and I imagine that you have more experience with that than possibly anyone. And so I'm curious what formula of materials or curriculum or education or community outreach you think is something we should be focusing on preventing extremism?
This is a wonderful question, yes. When you work in an area that extremism is there, when you work in an area that the country is also poor, very poor, and there is no material, no curriculum available, you have to be very creative. And the way that you are creative, first of all, you look into your society, what they believe in, how they believe in. And you, according to their belief and according to their tradition, you develop curriculum. And that's I did. A lot of people are asking me this question, why EIL is so successful? EIL is a very successful organization. It's groundbreaking organization. I shouldn't say it, but we have 480 personnel. We have reached 12.5 million people so far through our health education and through education. And one of the reasons is that we design curriculum according to the needs of the people. If they want a women learning center, we open a women learning center. We don't say, why don't we open a school? If they want a school, we open the school. If they want a teacher who is a mullah, we bring a teacher who is a mullah, we train them. And that way, they start trusting us and working with us, not against us. Yes, the animosity outside is there. Those people are there. But when you have thousands and thousands of people, somebody was asking me, why don't you run for the government? I tell you, if I want to run today, 1 million people will be behind me. Why? Because we provide quality program. We provide quality program that people learn from it, people benefit from it, and people appreciate. We are not threat to the people. When you are threat to the people, then they resent you. I hope I answer you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Syria is also going through a lot of horrible war and now that Syria is also being ravaged by civil war and producing tons and tons of refugees that are going through some of the same things that people from Afghanistan went through in Lebanon and Jordan, has your organization been in touch with people who are trying to bring about some of the same change you did in Afghanistan and Pakistan in those places?
Thank you. Well, for us to be there, we are not there, to tell you the truth. The reason is because first home, then the neighbor. because we have so much trouble still in Afghanistan that for us impossible to travel to Syria and go to the refugee camp there. I know the situation there, but our system has been replicated all over the world. As a matter of fact, people are keep asking my curriculum. Unfortunately, I didn't spend the money to really develop an English curriculum. We have our curriculum in our language, but people are replicating all over the world and they are using it, and it will use. Believe me, in the refugee camp in Syria, the system that we work, if they work on it, they will. And one thing that I will give you a little advice if you are working with the refugee, don't misgrade or thinking about the refugees. Refugees are the people who are the top of the cream. They really are smart people, and they want to do something. And that's the reason they are getting out of the situation. And so, if you really listen to them and really ask their advice, they will tell you what they want, and they will be able to do their life, change their life. And also, when they are refugee, in the first country that they are, try to develop a program for them. Don't wait 2 years, 3 years, 5 years that they are going to go from here to there, because that's the moment that you develop a program, work with them, and they will rebuild their life. And that is how it was. Thank you. Yeah.
Please, go on.
Well, thank you very much for your presentation. And as a pediatrician who sort of works at the intersect between health and education, and I've often said you can't really separate the two, but in the US we've done a pretty good job of separating them, and now we're trying to figure out how to integrate them again. I was struck by your comment, which often happens, which is you teach children, but you teach them about some of the hygiene and health and nutrition things, and that then permeates back into the adults who may not have had that information. Can you elaborate a little bit more on what you've seen or what sort of developed naturally within the communities around not just the health education, but health clinics or outcomes that you're seeing because of your efforts?
Thank you. It's a wonderful question, and I'm very glad to answer. First of all, I really believe in holistic education. Holistic education is something that you look everything, what is individual involved in learning. If a child is hungry, he will not be able to learn. If a child is traumatized, he will not be able to learn. If a child is really don't have clothing, he cannot learn. If you have a dispute in the family, he or she could not learn. These are all the issues. And if she or he is sick, impossible to grasp. That is, first you have to imagine this and see that this is really is the issue. For us, as I said before, we were not rich country. We didn't have hospital. We didn't have clinic. But today, alhamdulillah, we have 4 clinics. We have 6 clinics. We have a hospital. But what we did, we side by side prepare a curriculum that it's go into the school. In each school, we hire one health educator. And that health educator is based in the school. And the children, any problem that they have, including counseling, including nutrition, whatever they have problem, they go to that health educator. And also through health education workshop, we have been giving to the public and we have been giving to the teachers. And as a result, do you know that mortality, morbidity rate in Afghanistan, one is the second highest in the world. But do you know from the time that we started 20 years ago, we brought it 70% down. Why? Because in every clinic, the patients come and sit there. Before they see the doctor, they have to take a health education. What kind of health education? According to the season. If it's winter, we give them health education on winter season. If it's summer, for the summer season. If there is an environmental issue, we give about environment. We keep covering all these issues, and it has been very, very successful. As a matter of fact, it was the first step who encouraged the women to come and learn, because through health education, the mother became healthier, the family became happier, the husband was happier, the children were happier. So because of that, they invite us to have open Women Learning Center, one after another one. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. I think with the gentleman in blue, and then you, or
Yes.
please go. Yeah, maybe, yes. Well, there are lots of questions.
Okay, so I was wondering, throughout creating your whole program and bringing education back to Afghanistan, who was your biggest support in creating all of this?
Well, first of all, I tell you, I'm a very strong believer in God, okay? I'm not a religious fanatic, but I'm a spiritual. I believe in God, and I think that first, He is really over there watching for us and really working with us. That's one thing. Second thing, there are a lot of individuals who believe in my work, and they funding me faithfully since I start the project, which has been 23 years, continuously still beside me. There are anonymous foundation, there are individual donor, and as I said, we don't have events, and that's the way we get our funding. And so far, I did not get 1 penny from any government at all. It's all private.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hello.
Hi.
So I work with a local maternal health organization here in Austin. I just got back from Greece working with the refugees, and one thing that I was curious if you could offer some advice on is how to help provide education for mobile populations, ones that are kind of bouncing from one camp, maybe there for 2 weeks or less at a time. And like you said earlier, a lot of kids are looking to get their basic needs first, such as food, clothing, health, before education. So would you suggest it's even worth trying to provide education for people that are in spaces for such short periods of time, or if they should just wait till they get to their end destination, such as Germany or Austria, for example?
Thank you. I really believe, it's my opinion. I think that food and clothing and things are very, very important. Don't take me wrong. But I think the same time, at the same moment, is education is important. Because they are coming with lots of things in their head. And if they sit around, if nothing else you do, at least do an exercise program for them to get their energy out and to get their mind open. And also, I think that education really keep them sort of that, oh, what's happening to us? Why is happening to us? They start doing critical thinking. And so I think that even as a short term, try to provide a program for them and also give them assistance in healthcare. But giving assistance in healthcare alone is mean they become a beggar. And that is that I feel we don't want to do that. I don't want to do that for my people. I didn't do it. I do not appreciate that. I think that side by side with education, that will be very useful. Otherwise, they will depend on what you give them, and they just sit and rest and create more and more problems. Thank you
very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm part of the traveling faculty at the Center for Civil Military Relations at the Naval Postgraduate School, so I look at this more from a policy angle, but I spent quite a lot of time in Afghanistan, and one of the things that we've been worried about is the fact that there's no sort of national history or social studies curriculum that's been able to get sort of past the last 20 years, because if you look at the current government, you have people that have quite a bit of blood on their hands, like Rashid Dostum from Mazar-i Sharif, Ismail Khan from your native Herat. And there's been this real fight over what is the modern history of Afghanistan. And what we saw in Bosnia was that the Croats receive a very Catholic, pro-German education. The Serbs receive a very Eastern Orthodox, pro-Slavic education. And the Muslims in the center receive a very sort of Muslim-centered education, which sort of denies any sort of unity of youth for peace and prosperity in Bosnia. Is that the future of Afghanistan, or how, I mean, what's going to happen there? Can you comment on that?
Thank you. That is one thing that we are working. I think that education should be a multi-international. Every country, everywhere in the world should use a curriculum that is promote critical thinking. We should not go back and use our ancient curriculum that we had. For example, right now in Afghanistan, we have a curriculum that is not useful at all. But we have to go through the bureaucracy. We have a government said, okay, that's it, you have to use it. But how we are going to use it? We use that. But beside that, we integrate our own curriculum. We use our own curriculum and we use the government curriculum. And that way, you will educate the people according to the days. And also, you keep them their culture and tradition. For example, as Sebastian says that I'm going to really try to open a university. One of my main goals is that in this university is going to be an international university. It's going to be in English. Yes, the Islamic study or the societal study like social science will be in Persian. But the rest of it will be in English. Because English encourages people to learn from all around the world. The material will be available for them. It would be more resource. So if we really want to really rise up, we have to use this international language. And that's I am encouraging people to do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, thank you. My father's from Algeria, and he grew up very poor and had the chance to be educated. And then he made the choice to emigrate to Canada. And sometimes when I ask him why, I say, why? Why did you move? And why didn't you go back? And he often says that it's because there's no opportunity for him. And I wonder if you see that as a problem, or if you see that in your experience, people being educated and leaving, and what you do to help or support that.
Thank you. First of all, I want to tell you that when I was growing up in Afghanistan, I came across many animosity. One is that the family dispute was there. Always I hear cry of the women, cry of the children, fighting. This was one issue. And another thing is that my own mother had 16 pregnancy. From 16 pregnancy, she had only 5. The rest of them all died in a very young age. Every day, I thought I am losing my mother like the neighbor lost their mother. So that was in my heart. I really wanted to help the women of Afghanistan. That was my dream, that was my goal. And when I came to the United States, when I completed my education, I was very successful. I made good money, I had good house, whatever. But you know what? My heart was over there. What is my sister are doing there? What's my brother are doing there? Is it a human right that I have this life and they have that life? I believe education is the right of every child. It's a human right of every child. It's a human right of every woman. And that's the reason I left everything here and I went there. And when you have that attitude, I think that you will not go wrong, because you will take whatever comes with it. You take it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your beautiful talk today. I work at the Malala Fund, and I know Malala and all of us on our team are just so inspired and grateful for your leadership, and we're very much looking forward to working with you. But I just had a quick question around security. I know the situation is extremely complex and changing every day on the ground, so I'm curious if you could talk a bit more about how you partner with the local community to make sure that your centers are safe and the folks that you serve are safe.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, security, as I said, is not there.
Yeah.
Every day is a disaster. Every day when you get up in the morning, you don't know if you will be alive by the evening or not. Every child who comes to the classroom, they are not sure if they go back to their home, if they will see their parents at home or not. That is the security issue. How we cope with it and how we cooperate with other organizations. AIL became a networking program. Right now we have center after center. And all these centers, some of them belong to other organizations. They come and they discuss issues. And so we provide a space for them. But one of the conditions is that we really are making sure who is in that compound. The door of the compound is closed, and we monitor very carefully who is coming. And also, the area that we operate, we really openly don't say where is our location. We have to be very careful. We are responsible for the life of thousands and thousands. So that is, as a matter of fact, I do not like to talk about it even in a space like this, but you asked me the question, I told you, you have to really sort of organize your time, your schedule, your event in a way that you watch everything. You don't have 2 eyes, you have 4 eyes everywhere. Yeah. So you watch for it, yes. It's not easy.
Thank you.
It's not easy. Thank you. But it's doable.
اولا دکتر جان خوش آمدی به تگزاس. خدا شما رو همیشه نگه داره. بعدم شما ماریا مونتسوری ما هستی. Everybody get that? I just said, ma'am, welcome to Texas. May God always be with you, and you are our Maria Montessori.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I think every one of you are one. It's not only me. It's not working alone with the teamwork. I am there, you are here, and we work together. Thank you.
What's the best way for us to support your efforts in Afghanistan?
First of all, thank you for asking this. First of all, I think that the word of mouth for me is the best one, to share what you hear here, what you saw in here, share with your colleagues, with your friends, with your family. Educate them. Don't say that, well, Afghanistan is the place of terror. Yes, there are terror, but the people of Afghanistan is like you and like me. They are lovable, they are intelligent, they want to do things, they want to be a good citizen. They do not want to be a troublemaker.
Thank you.
Sakena, we have questions coming on Slido. One question is, what would you like to see children in other countries that are not ravaged by war, example the US, learn about war, refugees, women, and education?
Thank you, Sebastian. This is a very good question, and again, it's something that I really, when I go to different school or different university, I talk to the youth group, to the very children, and I tell them, first of all, look around, see what you have. You have every resource available to you, and appreciate them. Don't waste your time. Learn from it. This is one thing. Second, I would like to say to the teacher that we are here to really give. Giving is mean that you really take your responsibility seriously. Have ethical and really take your job serious and really help those children to help themselves. Not to help them to give them everything, help those children to help themselves. Because if you do that, they will be able to be a good citizen and will think about the world. And third things, I think that it's not good to just look around our own little community and say we are safe, it's okay. You never know what will happen. We were safe. I told you. I had a country that I closed my eyes and I just weep for it. It was a beautiful country. Material wasn't that much for me, although my father was a middle classman businessman. But the country is no longer there. It's a chaos in Afghanistan. Who thought that that will be in Afghanistan? And it's happening everywhere in the world. Make sure that the children understand to share, to take care, to take responsibility, and to be educated on war and peace. Both. To see what war is doing to people and what is peace bringing to the people. I think that is my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you, Sakena. There's two questions I'll kind of put together. One is on, oh, it's disappeared. No, how do you work to change cultural norms and barriers preventing equal gender access to education? And also, some people would like to know more about your human rights curriculum. So, equal gender access and the human rights curriculum.
Thank you. First of all, about gender equality. I really think that this is the high priority in our core of our program, because we think that if we involve our women, today we will not be in the place that we are. Because equally, we are losing half of part of our society's brain, asset, everything else. So on that, we work with gender equality. We encourage the women to get education. We encourage women to come to the political arena. We encourage women to get involved. And that's one of the reasons that I'm going to open a women university, because still there are a lot of people who want their daughter or their wife to get higher education, but they do not allow them to go to the mixed group. So for that purpose, we are trying to do this university. And for that purpose, higher education is something that you really rebuild your country. Yes, you can do so much with the primary and secondary education. But if you really want to rebuild the country, you need higher education. So for that purpose, we are involving both gender. But what kind of things we deal with it? Yes, there is a tradition that said women should not come and get education. But they use Islam. They said Islam says that you should not get education. But then we have quotation from Quran that it says men and women equal to gain knowledge. And if you study Quran, which I did, so I bring that quotation in the women's right education and human's right education. And I say that on the class. And try to educate women on that. And when women find out that, they go home and they discuss it. And also, we try to discuss with them that they negotiate with their family, not to fight, but to show them the quotation from Quran. We use a lot of quotation from Quran to teach democracy, to teach human rights, to teach gender equality. You know, Hazrat Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, peace upon him, his wife, Khadija, was a very successful businesswoman. Hazrat Muhammad's daughter, Fatima, was the best finance for his father. Why? Weren't they women? So what is happening today? They are using that against us. And we are not fighting them, but we show them the tax. And if they are really educated, they see the tax and they will change. Look, the time that my father sent me to United States, at that time, I was the first girl from my country to come to United States as an undergraduate student alone. My father was a man. He wasn't different. He was Afghan. He had open mind. There are many, many men who have open mind. What we do, we use them as our advocate. For example, when I wanted to go to the refugee camp, there were people who were telling my father, "What are you doing sending her to the refugee camp? Don't you know what's happening there?" And my father said, "That's her dream, let her to do it. Why not?" And he was not educated even. So there are men who has vision, there are men who believe in women, and so what we have to do through creativity, we have to find them and collectively work with them, that they also can collectively work with us and promote our work. Alone doesn't work. Thank you.
Thank you, Sakena. There was the question on the human rights curriculum, specifically, how you teach human rights.
Human rights, teaching human rights, we have workshop. We have workshop on human rights. We say that, okay, we are talking about human rights. What is the right of an individual? To have a freedom of speech. What is freedom of speech? What is provide for you freedom of speech? Freedom of speech for you provide that you have a choice to choose your leader. If you don't like that leader, you can speak out. You can speak out, you can go have an interview in the television, you can have an interview in the radio, and we have also a radio station. Over that radio station, we use a lot of human rights material, broadcast all over the country. And that's another publicity that we give to our audience. And when you have those kind of material available, people really open their mind. They learn. One of the problems that when you don't have an educated society, which we didn't, 99% of people of Afghanistan were not able to read and write. But when you have material and when you educate them, and then when you give them the task and you show them that human rights is this, that every individual has a right to freedom, has a right to live anywhere they want, doesn't make difference which color, which religion, which family they are coming from. All of us are human. God creates all of us equal. These are all in Quran. I use text from Quran in trying to teach human rights, and it's working. Maybe it will not work in this country, but it's sure enough working there. Sure enough, it's working. Also, one thing that when you teach human rights or women's rights in Afghanistan, you have to teach according to our society. Not to say, okay, we want lesbian to have a right. Huh? Or this and that. These are taboo. We cannot talk about this thing. But we can come around in another way and talk about it. And that's working.
Thank you, Sakena. Maybe a last question. Sandy tells us that she's mentoring a seventh grade girls' school here in Austin, who is a recent refugee from Afghanistan. This young girl wants to be a doctor. What would you say to inspire her?
Thank you. It's very hard. That young woman has her own mind, and I hope she does, because for years and years, we were telling our children to be a doctor and engineer. That's the only field that in Afghanistan people encourage. First of all, I want that the teacher really work with that little girl and let her to be free. Let her to choose what she is interested. And if she is really interested to be a doctor, help her to encourage her, take her around and show her how important it is to reach out for children. Really take her to science classes. Encourage her to see what is science all about. For example, as I said here, that one of our students was looking under the microscope, and he saw that microbe in the water. And he went to his mother, and he said, I'm not going to eat this apple, and better you wash it with different water and clean it for me, otherwise I'm not going to eat. So I think this little girl, if you really encourage her and say that she has the capacity, she can be a doctor, she is intelligent enough to be, and just promote her learning, not to push her, just work with her. I have so many children in the orphanage, so many children in my school. We have 400 children in the orphanage, 150 children in the street program, and we have thousands of children in the school. And you ask them, what do you want? And you keep seeing the rise of the hand. They want to be this and that, and they want to be the president of the country. And we keep talking to them and asking them, if you become the president of the country or if you become a doctor, what do you want to do? Then we ask questions to really help their critical thinking. If they want to really help the patient, if they want somebody to cure from cancer, if somebody wants to be cured from the heart attack, what they want to do. So I think that the best way to do it, to continuously keep promoting their knowledge by asking them questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sakena. I think